Hello everyone, and thanks for watching our Stratosphere special on the 3rd of January 2023. So today we're looking at the GFS 12Z run for the temperatures at 10 HPA over the North Pole, because over recent days and weeks we've been seeing a signal for a warming around mid-January that could possibly turn into an SSW and give us major blocking into the late part of the winter. So I'm just going to explain what you're seeing on this chart. These blue temperatures at 10 HPA over the Arctic, North Pole, Greenland, Canada, Siberia, Scandinavia. This is the polar vortex at its roots. This is the cold air that fuels the polar vortex. Now, this cold air acts at around 10 HPA as a big area of low pressure, big cyclone over the Arctic. And as you know, around the cyclone, winds flow anti-clockwise, so around this sort of direction, a westerly wind at 10 HPA, around the mid-latitudes, a very, very strong westerly wind. That's what you call the zonal wind. And if you've got a very, very strong zonal wind at 10 HPA, it tends to be the case through the atmosphere right down to sea level. And also, if you've got this deep polar vortex over the Arctic and the high latitudes, you tend in the winter to also have deep low pressure around Greenland and Iceland, over the Arctic and in the high latitudes. So that's why our winters here in Ireland are so unsettled, mild, wet and windy. Got strong westerly winds, low pressure around Greenland and Iceland, strong polar vortex helping that go along, zonal wind powering up the westerlies, and that's all of that's coming in from the west. All of that low pressure, all of that cold air fueling the polar vortex, as well as the high pressure around the Azores, gives us all this mild weather we get in the winter. So going through the 12th run, we stay with these bitterly cold temperatures over the North Pole, minus 88 degrees there for a time, possibly. But we see a little warming over China, Siberia, areas like that. A minor one, not too severe, minus 20 degrees at best. And then as we go through, then we see another warming developing on January 11th over seems to be the Middle East. And we go forward then, and we see that warming try to enter the Arctic and the North Pole, but it's struggling to do so, and the warming intensifies a bit further there. And we go to around minus 8 or minus 4 degrees. That is pretty much reaching the required levels for an SSW, temperature-wise. But you have to do a lot more than that to get it to be known as an SSW properly. And then another warming right at the end of the GFS run on the 19th of January. A big warming here over Siberia. It looks like it's going to penetrate into the Arctic by now. And the polar vortex, is now quite significantly displaced at this stage. You can see that the core of the cold temperatures have shifted from around Svalbard and areas north of that and Greenland to the Atlantic Ocean around Iceland. So that looks quite promising, and also the PV is looking a bit under strain there around the 18th of January. But so what I'm saying here is, for it to be called an SSW, we've reached pretty much the required temperature for that to be called an SSW. Next step is to penetrate it into the Arctic and split these blue colours and reverse the zonal wind. So basically, the zonal wind is the very, very strong westerly winds that goes around this polar vortex at 10 HPA. If we reverse it and make it go way below average or an easterly wind, then you got big northern blocking in place over the Arctic, And that also, just like the effects of the PV, the blocking tends to go through the atmosphere and reach ground level. It will take quite a few weeks to do it though. So if we see any impacts from this, it'll be around mid-February before we get any cold weather. But we are making our way to an SSW at this stage. There's a lot of interest going around. A lot of it. Don't believe any websites who are saying big SSW coming, because there are a lot of steps at this point. There are about 6 steps, I think, in getting an SSW, and up to this stage, we're only on step 2. So a lot has to come to place, and even if we get the blocking, it depends on where the blocking sits. So, for example, if it goes over Greenland and Iceland, perfect. We bring in this cold easterly wind or northerly wind from Svalbard or Scandinavia or Russia. However, if we get the blocking sitting, say, around northern Siberia, then sure, cold air comes out here into Eastern Europe, but there will probably be low pressure in the Atlantic around Iceland, and that will keep us mild. So the blocking has to be in the right place as well. It's not that straightforward. It's very, very complex to get cold weather out of an SSW. A good example of the time that we did get cold weather out of an SSW is the Beast from the East 2018, which I'm sure we have good memories of. I do. I live in the area that was pretty much worst hit by it, really. Loads and loads of snow. It's very, very deepest snow cover I've seen in my life, actually, and that was phenomenal. Will we get something like this from this warming? It's very unlikely, but the chances are there. So we're on our let's just say stepping stones to the warming, but we've still got a long way to go. So watch this space, and I'll see you later on with our normal weather update. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.